then they can sponsor you to move to Canada. That's basically one of the easiest, so to speak, because it doesn't call for a lot. You will not have to take the IELTS test, which many people are usually very, very uncomfortable to take.
Yeah. Hi guys, welcome to Next Step with Cherry. So if you're my new viewer, I want to say a very big thank you. And if you're my returning subscriber, thank you so much for choosing Cherry. And if you've not subscribed to my channel, just hit the subscription button and share this channel and this video to your friends so that they can get access to this information because it's coming directly from the right source. And also stick to the end of this video so that you can get all the information that you need because we are really going to talk a lot about Canada. So with me today, we have our lovely sister, and she has a channel called Accord TV. So without wasting much of our time, I will just give the mic over to her so that she will introduce herself and she will tell us what we have today.
Oh my God, what a fantastic introduction. Thank you so much, Sherry. First of all, I want to start by just thanking you for having me here. I do not take this opportunity for granted. And thank you again for your audience for the privilege of listening to me. Well, like mentioned, my name is Akot, and what I do, I'm actually an immigration consultant, and I speak widely about Canada. Like Canada is my go-to thing. You wake me up in the at midnight, you ask me a question about Canada, I will respond without even opening my eyes. Anyways, that is just about it. Now, in this live, as mentioned by Sherry, we are going to talk about the many different pathways to be able to immigrate to Canada. So, again, I'm sure most of you have seen many people make content videos about Canada, and a good number of them would always come out and say, or rather talk about the easiest way to migrate to Canada. Well, for me, the way I take it is I would never come out and tell you this is the easiest way because again, everyone's situation is different. So I'm not saying it is hard, it is not hard. But again, I wouldn't say it's the easiest way because immigration to Canada is all about patience. Okay, patience, it's workable. 99% totally it's workable. And simply because Canada is one of the countries, I think one country which has over 80 different pathways for you to immigrate to. So that simply means that as an immigrant or as a potential immigrant, all you need to do is figure out or ask someone or maybe find out the pathway which would be okay for you and your family and of course your situation. So one pathway may not be may not work for you but may work for someone else. So going down to the different pathways, I would like to start with the major one that everyone actually should know about, which is the express entry pathway. So, Express Entry Pathway is basically a platform created by the Canadian government, Canadian immigration, and it's all about, you know, judging you. I would like to use the word judging you as a person. And so they check on your education level, they check on your age, they check on your work experience. And then if you're immigrating with your spouse, there's a difference as compared to when you're immigrating alone. So they put up all those points and then you are given a point as some points as an individual. Okay, so someone who is, let's say, 25 years old may end up getting, let's say, even 450 points. But if you're 35 and above, you may find that sometimes there could be a challenge for you to hit the points. And so, what normally happens is every 2 weeks, there's a draw, which is normally done. And let's say the cutoff point is 420. So, everyone who is in the express entry pool and you have 420 and above, then you automatically 100% move to Canada. But again, if you are above 35 and you cannot really meet the points, you can't actually get the points, you can barely get to 400, then there's an option we call PNP. There is an option which you call PNP. So PNP basically is about you identifying one province and then applying directly to the government of that province. Sorry about the noise. Then you apply directly to the government of that province. For instance, if you want to migrate to Toronto, Then, or maybe if you want to immigrate to Manitoba, then you'll apply directly to the government of Manitoba, and then they will check for your credentials. Again, even Manitoba as a government, they're going to check on your age, education, work experience, family, and all those things. And then they give you points. So if the government of Manitoba is comfortable or they are happy with your credentials, then they will invite you to apply for the PNP. Once you get that, again, you go back to the Express Entry Pool. Express Entry Pool is like the mother of them all. Once you get your PNP nomination, you go back to the Express Entry Pool, then you added your 600 points, and then 100% you get to move to Canada. So that is one way, express entry. Moving on to the next pathway, I would like to talk about education. So, education is where, I mean, it's obvious. You find a Canadian university or a college, depending on where your finances are, and then you apply and you'll be given an offer letter. So, what happens is first you'll be sent an offer letter, and that offer letter that you will be sent to you will have like a red writings across it indicating that this is not for visa application. Then the next thing, the university will ask you to pay the fees, to pay the fees, 1 semester worth of fees. So once you pay that, I'm really sorry for that, whatever, it's a neighbor. So then you'll pay fees for 1 semester, and then after that, they will send you letter, another acceptance letter, which now you're going to use for your visa. So if
Mm.
you get an institution, and then again, not every institution in Canada is okay. Universities are genuine, 99% of them. But again, with online things, people have come up with a way of creating universities and learning institutions which do not
Yeah.
even exist. Yeah, so
Yeah.
again, there's a way that you can use to check if that university is actually registered and it actually does exist. So that is up to you as the person who's trying to make the applications to just make sure that you keep yourself safe online. Okay.
Mm.
And what could be disappointing is you could find the actual university and then there's another website and it's copy paste of that university. So you
Oh my.
can be confused, as in you don't know which one is which. But again, like I mentioned, there is a way that you can always check if the university actually exists. I think I'll share that with Sherry later and then she can share all that information with you, because if I start talking about that here in this video, it may take too
Yeah.
long. So yes, that's another pathway. And what you're really encouraged to do is just to make sure that whichever university you choose to go study in, just make sure that the institution is designated. So if the institution is
Mm.
designated, it means that after your studies, Canada will allow you to stay in the country for another 3 years. And then, of course, with your experience, you can then eventually apply for permanent residency. Then, what you want to remember also that there are universities which are actually designated, but not all their courses, not all their programs will qualify you for postgraduate work permit. So those are little things
Mm.
also you need to look into. Moving on to another pathway. Now we're talking about spousal sponsorship. If you have a spouse, husband or wife who is already in Canada, maybe they went as a student or they are Canadian natives or whoever they are, then they can sponsor you to move to Canada. That's basically one of the easiest, so to speak, because it doesn't call for a lot. You will not have to take the IELTS test, which many people are usually very uncomfortable to take.
Yes.
But again, going back to the universities, there are universities which will ask for IELTS certificate, and there are universities which will not. So you want to keep that in mind as well. So we have talked
Mm.
about spousal sponsorship, which basically means whoever is in your life and they're willing to support your move to Canada, then they can apply as your sponsors. So that's a very
Mm.
direct. Actually, Sherry, if we say that there is one of the easiest ways to immigrate to Canada, I would say it's spousal sponsorship, or again, there is what we call parental sponsorship. Parental sponsorship could work either way. You could be in Canada, and then while in Canada, maybe you went to Canada and you left your family back behind. Then you can
Mm.
sponsor children, so they move to Canada. And
Yeah.
the other way, in a different perspective, you could have your children in Canada. Maybe they went to study, or they got married and moved to Canada, and then they sponsor you as a parent to move to Canada. That is also a
Mm,
very easy way. But you see, again, what could be challenging is maybe your child is trying to sponsor you, and then back in your country, you don't pay tax. You don't pay
mm,
tax. And if unfortunately there's something like there's an issue, like maybe you had a criminal record, that could be like a hindrance for your
mm,
record. So make sure you pay your taxes, and of course stay out of trouble. Then
mm,
moving on to another part, we've talked about education, we have talked about express entry, we have talked about family, and we have talked about spousal. Then one other pathway I would really like to talk about, which also again takes a short time and it's also easier, is moving to Canada on job offer. So while you're still in your home country, you can start applying for jobs in Canada. I know some people are also always for the idea of, oh, really, does it work? So they're asking for proof and anything. But you see, if you believe that there's God, you believe that there's Jesus, and you've never seen Jesus, you've never seen God, you're told there's heaven, you don't know if there's heaven, but you still believe it. So now again, when it comes to immigration, you're asking for receipts. But for those who are following the rules, for those who are out looking for those jobs and sending applications and really making sure that their CV, their resumes are done according to the Canadian standards, people are getting jobs and people are moving to Canada. So you start looking for a job today. You can as well be in Canada in the next 2 or 3 months just from a job offer. And once you get a job offer and you're in Canada, it's gonna take you not a long time, then as you're working on your work permit, you're living in Canada on a work permit. In 2 years, you
mm.
get your permanent residency, and then another 2 years, you apply for your no, in 2 years you get your
Citizenship.
permanent residence. Then another 2 years you apply to be a Canadian citizen. You see, so it's just a walk. I could say it could be
Wow.
just a walk to the park. So at the end of the day, it depends on your attitude. You as an individual, do you want to immigrate? Are you really ready to do everything that it takes for you to immigrate? Because again, immigration calls for a lot of work. It calls for focus, and then of course listening to people, doing your own research, and just making sure that everything that you're doing is in order. And of course, you stay
Mm,
out of trouble, and always make sure that your passport is is up to date. At least by the time you're even applying for jobs, you should have at least a passport which will possibly expire a year later, not 6 months. Always
mm.
make sure that when it's time for you to renew your passport, you renew it as soon as you can. So that is basically
Yeah,
just
okay.
about it.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I have a question. When it comes
Mhm,
to looking for job, I have two questions, anyways. One
mhm.
question is, what about some people that have been applying for, like, maybe they have put up 100 applications and they might, like, 80 of them no response and 30 of them is rejection, or 20 of them is rejection. What do you think might be the problem in that application? Then the second question is, what are the labor shortage? Like, what are the skills? What are the type of jobs are these people? Because not everybody, you just apply, you see this one mechanic, you apply, you see drivers, you apply. Are they really looking for these people? What are the jobs that Canadian employers are really willing to bring employees from outside Canada to Canada? What are those skills?
Okay, to begin with, let me answer the first question you asked, which is someone making applications and then they're getting rejections, or maybe they're not even getting responses. So for that, I would say
Mm,
maybe number one, maybe their resumes and their cover letters are not done according to the Canadian standard. Because I mean, these people are not like us. If the rules are there and you're supposed to follow them, if you don't follow them, they don't just bother about you. So if you have your resume and then it's not written according to the Canadian standard, so even if you send 1,000 applications, no one will look into it. So you just keep sending and then you do not get any feedback whatsoever. So that is one thing I would say. And then in Canada, there are jobs are categorized in two categories, so to speak. So we have skilled jobs and we have unskilled jobs. So if you are a nurse and you're specifically looking for a job in nursing, then you're okay. But if you're looking for a job in nursing and you do not have the nursing qualifications, then of course no one is going to call you for an interview. If you're a
mhm,
teacher, if you're a teacher, you can one biggest mistake, especially teachers are making, and it's because they don't have information. I don't want to say they are ignorant because it's simply that they do not have the information. So for you to be a teacher
Mm,
in Canada first, you need to get a license. You need to be licensed because again, even back in our own countries, for you to be a teacher and teach in a classroom, if you're really following rules, you're supposed to be a licensed teacher. So for Canada,
mm,
if you don't have a license, then of course you can send 1,000 teaching applications, and then you won't get any feedback because again you're not a licensed teacher. But the good news
mm,
is you can become a licensed teacher while you're still in your home country, while you're still in your home country, and that is something I would really have to explain in detail and show this is how you go about it. This is the website, and then show step by step for people to understand, which is that is actually the video coming out next in my channel. So if someone is interested, maybe they can, if someone is a teacher or knows someone who is a teacher and they want them to get this information, they can maybe relate to that. Okay. So that is some of the reasons. Okay. And again, sometimes it's just the attitude that someone has. For some reason, I really believe in the power of the universe. I do believe in the power of the universe. What you say with your mouth, your emotions, if you're always negative, you're sending an application and already in your head, even in your body, you're just telling yourself, I'm not getting this. To be honest, you won't get it. I don't know how it works. I don't know how it works, but if you can be positive and just trust and believe that I'm going to do this and I'm going to get it and I'm getting it this time round. You even take a small notebook and write all the things that you want to God to do for you. God will make sure you get them. It may not be immediately, but it will happen. So sometimes it goes back to the attitude. So I think we need to be more believers. We need to believe that there's a God. Okay. And to be a good person. If you're a good person, things will always work out for the better for you. Then going to your second question, your second question was about what was your second question? Was it about
my second,
relations?
sorry,
Your
now I have
second question
forgotten.
is about relations.
I have forgotten.
uh,
My second question is about the skills that
oh
employers
yeah,
are
yeah,
willing
yeah,
to, yeah,
yeah.
like, from your experience and from the testimonies and stories of people that you've
Oh yeah,
seen, what
I
are
remember.
what jobs gets offers in Canada from outside Canada?
Yeah, I remember. Now, when it comes to jobs and the skills required, there's a reason why the Canadian Prime Minister actually came out in person and said, "Hey, we need people. We need people." Canada is currently struggling. They need people like never before. So whether you are an engineer, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a nurse, whether you only have your high school certificate, because if you do not have any qualifications, then at least you have your high school certificate. So then you fall into unskilled labor. So it doesn't really matter, to be honest, which profession you are in. It doesn't matter whether you only have a high school diploma or only a high school certificate. All you need to do is just send your applications because Canada as a country is looking for people. And imagine if they're able to do draws every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, they're actively making those draws and bringing people in. And again, remember, there are employers who have a positive LMIA who are also bringing people through job offers. So those ones are not even coming in through express entry, but they have job offers. And then we have spouses,
Hmm.
we have friends inviting friends. You see, if you have a friend or a family member who lives in Manitoba, actually, Manitoba is the only province which allows friends to support other friends. So if you have a friend in Manitoba, they can as well sponsor you to move to Canada and you get your permanent
Wow.
residence. Yeah, yeah, only Manitoba does that. So really,
Wow.
it doesn't matter which profession you're in, it doesn't matter which skill. And you can move to any province. Now, when it comes to provinces, you can actually decide if you are someone who is more comfortable living around people who look like this, then you can say go to Manitoba. Okay. And if you are someone who I call them vanillas, if you're someone who is looking more into, me, I just want to live with the vanillas, like really, you people, I don't mind about you so much, then go to British Columbia. And if you care so much about the weather, you're coming from a tropical country, so you want to live in a place which is a bit warmer, then go to British Columbia. Yeah. If you're thinking about farm area, few people, like you live here and then your neighbor lives like 2 days away from you, then go to Prince Edward Island where there's only one major university and rarely people, or you can even go to Saskatchewan where if you're expecting a baby, you can go to a hospital and then there's no nurse. I'm just joking.
Oh,
Anyway, so those are those are the things we're saying that really it doesn't matter as long as you
yeah.
are healthy, as long as you are
Hmm.
healthy, you don't have any terminal conditions, diseases or anything, then Canada is the place for you. And of course, if you don't mind the weather, but weather,
Yeah.
you'll adapt. You'll get used to it within no time because the country is
Oh.
also ready and prepared for the weather. So yeah. So anyone out there, if you're interested, you want to move to Canada, please, I encourage you in the name of Jesus, go for it. You'll be
Okay,
fine.
thank
You'll be
you so much. Thank you so much. For us, weather is not the problem. We need to feel that code. We like the code. We just need to go there and feel the code. Okay, so
yeah.
before we close, because of our time, I would want to ask what are the websites, or how can we look for this job then? Because at the end of the day, it also ends up with looking for job. Where can we find this job? Is there any website that you would like to share with us, or anyone that you've seen people apply and probably get even an interview? So, what are your top websites for people to go for their job application?
Well, the top website is the Canadian Job Bank. That's the website number one.
Mm,
Canadian Job Bank. But again, the thing is with Canadian Job Bank, if you want to get a response like real quick, then the best way to go about it is to file your express and get yourself into the express entry pool, and then you'll be given a special code. And then that special code will officially allow you to look for a job in Canada. And then with that code, you add it on your resume. You also have it on your cover letter, and then employers will see,
mm,
okay. So for if you do that, then it's going to make your job seeking process to be a lot faster as compared to someone who
oh,
doesn't have that special code. And that is one thing again that most people do not know about. While it's open,
mm,
anyone can send applications through the job bank, anyone can do that. But if you want your process to move quickly and for you to stand, to be seen with employers and to be given the first priority, then you need to work around getting that job seeker code. They call it job seeker code. And for you to be in the
mm,
express entry, of course, you have to sit for the IELTS. If you're taking the IELTS, just make sure that you're going for the general version because that is what is used for immigration. You only take
mm,
academic if you're moving to Canada to study, but for immigration purposes, you take general version of
yeah,
IELTS. Then again, another point. Don't just go for general. Go for general and then make sure it's a paper-based test. Don't go for the computer-based test. Canada again is not really open to computer-based IELTS general test. So make sure that you go for the um, paper version
mm,
of general IELTS test.
okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, I
Thank
don't
you
know if I'm
so
giving, I don't know. Oh, yeah. Now I've talked about job bank, and then again, there's
much.
also Indeed. There's Indeed. Indeed is also very common. But why I like the job bank is that as much as, of course, there are websites or job offers which are actually not genuine, but in the job bank, they are like, let's say, 10% of jobs that
Mm,
you may find which are not really genuine. But again, that website is very clear. It even shows you the employers who are verified. So those
mm,
ones, you're sure 100% you're sending your resume to the right employers. Okay. And
person, yeah.
there's of course Indeed. Indeed is also secure, but again, you just have, when you send an application, then depending on how they are communicating to you, if you're not sure, then maybe it's about time you reach out to someone who can actually tell you whether that job is genuine or not. Because
Not.
security, number one, you cannot send anyone money in the name of looking for a job because you're out there looking for a job. And then there are also many other websites which I keep sharing on my channel so people can check. Anytime I'm talking about a job, I always share those links in the description of those videos. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So finally, I would want to ask about creating this express entry profile. Do you help people do your team help people to create it, or you have like maybe a team or someone that helps people to create this express entry profile? Because I know that so many people will be like, how can I create a profile? How can I be in the express entry? So is there a way that you go about that? Do you work around that?
Yes, I do. I do the express entry filing for people, but then again, depending on the cases that I have on my table, if there are many, then my people do help. So I normally take 50 cases in a year. Like for this year, it's already closed. I'm not taking any more cases. And so if you go to my website, aquatv.com, that section, that offer is actually closed and it only opens when I am ready to take more applications because it takes a while. And
Mm,
then, like I've told you, my idea is just to do 50 cases every year. So once we get 50, we close it and then we wait until the following year. So the next will be in 2023. And when the system opens or when I'm open to receiving more applications, I normally let my viewers and subscribers know. And I usually post it on my community tab on YouTube.
Thank you so much. This is so informative. I mean, now I feel like I'm a Canadian citizen because I understand.
Yes, you are. Yes,
I'm
you
a
are.
Canadian
Yes, you are.
consultant. Because I understand everything. I hope you guys also understood everything and you guys will go ahead. Like she mentioned, if you're not getting any response for the Canada stuff, you can just start now to go for your express entry profile creation and you ask around, like people that are really, really, really into it. You watch videos of people that are creating it on YouTube, the steps that they took, what they have to, the document that they have to put together so that you can start now and try to find yourself in that pool or even at least to create it so that you can get the job seeker code. And with that, you can also apply for jobs. So you can as well go to our YouTube channel for more videos and more links, websites or job websites that you guys can also apply through. And if you want a one-on-one consultation with her, if you have a special case, you can as well contact her. And with that, we come to the end of this video. But if you guys have any question, just keep it on the comment section, and she will try as much as possible to respond, or I will respond in the case that I know what you guys are asking about. So wait for our next video because I'm still going to be bringing to you guys jobs in Canada very, very soon with her. So wait for the next video, and bye, guys. Thank you so much.
I love you, Sherry. I love you. Bye.